Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 of Sculpting a Mini Tank. In this video section, we'll be actually covering the later half of the model detailing. What you'll be seeing me do here at the start will be just like importing in extra reference image planes and just tidying up the scene in general, like just kind of rearranging where the planes can go and scaling up the references as I need to. Kind of just housekeeping mode at the moment. We'll just be getting on to just detailing the tank threads where we left off from the previous video. You'll see me just being pretty brute force here again, like in I think part 1 of the video. Just opted not to use the stamping method over here just before you just cut it in directly, because I know for sure I won't be animating these tank threads. Just decided to take a more direct brute force approach to this. It just gives me a bit less headache compared to trying to make a nice looking stamp and getting them to just duplicate across this axis. In fact, I guess if I want to take this to the next level, what I can do actually is just to redo the threads again in Blender or the 3D program of your choice and have it rigged properly over there. And I think it would be a much better end result versus trying to force the use of the voxel tank threads. So for sculpting the threads over here, I just kind of stuck to like the rule of thirds. Like, I guess that's kind of my go-to design language kind of thing. Not really design language, it's kind of, I guess it's like how the muscle memory works for me nowadays. So yeah, just kind of like guesstimating it, not the most scientific way over here. And I would also say like the little inconsistencies that you might give to the model over here might potentially give it some sort of charm. It's kind of like more like a more handmade feel to it. It's less um, machine like. I kind of can't think of a better way to describe it at the moment. Yeah. So in this part, we'll start to kind of add like little surface details that um, that will bring a bit more like kind of life to the tank versus just having like planar surfaces. I guess for this section, right, what you can think about is like how um these tanks function. Maybe like think of places where they might be putting extra reactive armor to protect the crew, or places where they might add like little piping or even radar systems that will help the tank detect enemies from further radius. So with this kind of little tidbits in mind, you can just kind of research on the internet like how they actually work. But in our purposes, it's more of like how to make it look kind of aesthetically functional, not really like the operational functionality of it. You can also think about like where the hatches of the tank may be, so like you can have like little crew members pop out of it, uh, looking like they're on guard on a mission or something. I didn't build it into this project, but I thought maybe I could just like talk about it here and give you a little idea if you're doing your own project down the road. I may consider doing like guess a duplicate version of the tank with whatever I just talked about. At this point, you can actually experiment with like different type of stamps in the basic medium library. Because as of the time of recording, I understand it's kind of like a bug in medium that they haven't resolved for a while. If you were using a kind of like a newer NVIDIA driver, then it would actually cause Medium to crash if you try to import in like external OBJ files. Like some of the stamps that you really like a lot from your other design friends or artists, and you can't use them at this point. So I would just say kind of just stick to the stock stamp library and get creative with it. Because I just kind of feel like, at least in my opinion, like people get pretty creative if they have certain limitations stacked on top of their creative ideas. That's how you kind of can see like how people derive on different solutions in this kind of situations. So what's happening now is just me changing the color of the tank. I went to have a short think about it, and I decided to make it like more desert looking kind of colors. And also for easier segregation of the detail parts, right, for people to tell what's the primary form and what's like the secondary details, they decided to change the color of it. The cut lines, the seam lines, and like the detailed parts will be kind of like a darker brown, while the main body itself, the primary shape will be the kind of like a light beige color that you see on the screen now at the moment. So going forward, I'll be actually just doing this kind of separation of details visually like that, so people can just get it on first glance. Okay, at this point I'll be just finishing up like the main body shape at the center, because we kind of left it like empty for quite a while now, and I'm just like filling it up with some volumes to just rough it first. At least it doesn't look like totally empty if you like were to look at it from a certain camera angle. You just want to have like the illusion of like some engine parts or moving components within it, just to kind of like keep the viewer's mind at ease. That's what I kind of personally think about this phase now. Okay, so this part onwards we'll be doing like some detailing on the back panel of the tank using the subtraction function of the clay tool. So we'll be adding some rivet holes over here. Okay, from here on out, the process will be kind of a bit long drawn. So I don't think I'll be speeding it up, because it's like people might get dizzy looking at it. So what I'm gonna do here is let the video run at a slightly increased speed, so you don't have to spend the entire day watching it. But at the same time, I'll be adding like a kind of ambient background track to it. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video then.